She missed the train, but fate brought him back. What if love doesn't end after all?
She missed the train, just by 1 minute, but that single minute changed her life. Instead of a dull ride home, she met the one man she had both feared and secretly longed for. Emily stood on the nearly empty platform, gripping the strap of her bag tightly. The commuter train she had rushed toward had already disappeared around the bend, leaving only the metallic tang in the air and the fading echo of wheels on rails. She cursed under her breath and glanced up at the schedule board. The next one. 40 minutes away. Perfect, she thought bitterly. Now I'll be late getting home, and my mood's already ruined. The autumn wind tugged at her hair with an almost malicious chill. Emily hated being late, hated uncertainty. But this time, her delay became destiny. She noticed him almost immediately. Tall, in a dark coat, standing a little apart, his eyes fixed on the same schedule board. His profile was familiar, painfully familiar. Her heart tightened. It was the kind of ache you get when you see someone from your past, someone you had tried to forget but who clung stubbornly in memory. It was Ryan, the man with whom everything could have been different. They hadn't seen each other in nearly 6 years. He noticed her too. Their eyes met and time froze. First, surprise, then a faint, fleeting smile appeared on his lips. Emily's throat went dry. She tried to think of how to act. Should she walk over? Pretend not to recognize him? But her feet betrayed her and carried her forward. "Hi," she said, aiming for confidence in her voice. "Hey," he answered, tilting his head slightly. His voice hadn't changed, still calm, with that undertone of warmth. For a moment, they just stood there. The silence was filled only with the whistle of the wind and the distant hum of strangers. Ryan finally broke it. "You missed yours too?" "Yeah," Emily gave a wise smile. "Always running, but never in the right direction." He chuckled, just barely, and the sound hit her with a wave of warmth, as if she wasn't on a cold platform, but back in that old coffee shop where they'd spent so many college nights. "Listen," he said, after a pause, "there's a coffee shop a block from here. Since we've got time, want to wait there instead?" Emily wanted to refuse. Why now, of all times? But deep inside, something whispered, "Go. This is your chance to hear what he has to say. Maybe even a chance to reclaim what you lost." They walked together toward the station exit. The silence wasn't awkward, it was charged. The coffee shop smelled of cinnamon and cocoa, the golden light making the whole place feel like it had been created for long, overdue conversations.
They sat by the window. Outside, the rain had started again, like the city itself was part of their story. 6 years, Ryan said, cradling his cup, and it feels like yesterday. "Yeah," Emily murmured, lowering her gaze. "Sometimes the past finds a way back." He studied her face closely, as if searching for every year she'd lived without him. She tried hard to hide her nervousness. "You've changed," he said softly. "But your eyes, they're the same." Her chest tightened. 6 years ago, those were the same eyes that had looked at him one last time when she left for graduate school in Chicago. She had told herself it was the right choice, the only choice. But could anyone truly cut someone out of their soul that easily? They talked for hours about work, about life, about trivial things. Yet in every pause, unspoken words hovered. Why they had broken apart, what had remained unsaid, and whether even the smallest spark of that old fire was still alive. And the longer they talked, the clearer Emily felt it. This meeting wasn't an accident. Emily found herself listening to his voice more intently than ever before. Each pause, each shift in tone seemed heavy with hidden meaning. And the more they spoke, the more she realized Ryan wasn't just a ghost from her past. He still had a place in her present, whether she admitted it or not. "You know," he said suddenly, taking a sip of coffee, I used to think we'd run into each other again. Didn't know where or how. Just had this gut feeling it wasn't over. Those words struck her heart. Emily tried to laugh, but her voice shook. I told myself the opposite, she confessed. I imagined that if we ever did meet again, it would be cold, polite, neutral. And? He asked with a brow. Is it? No, she breathed, unable to lie. Ryan leaned back, silent for a long moment. His expression shifted, something fierce flashing behind his eyes, as if he'd decided to cross a line. Then why did we waste 6 years? He asked plainly. She dropped her gaze. That was the question she had asked herself countless times, but she never had an answer that satisfied her. Back then, leaving felt like the smart move, school, career, a future. But now, sitting across from him, she couldn't be sure it was worth it. Because I was afraid, she whispered. Afraid if I stayed, everything would collapse, that we'd fade, like everyone else. And if it hadn't collapsed? He asked curly. His tone was gentle, but she could hear the ache beneath. She met his eyes and knew instantly he had carried her inside all this time. Tried to let go, failed. The cafe music shifted, soft and melancholic. Emily thought for a moment that this felt more like a movie scene than real life. She was terrified to blink in case it all disappeared. Let's walk, Ryan suggested abruptly. My place isn't far. Weather's crap, but I don't want this night to end here. Emily hesitated. Logic screamed no, but her heart whispered yes. His gaze left her no room to refuse. The rain had eased to a drizzle. Puddles reflected streetlights like scattered stars. They walked in silence, a silence that bound them tighter than words. Ryan lived in an old brick building with an arched doorway and wrought iron gates. The stairwell smelled faintly of damp stone. The bulb above them flickered. He opened the door, stepping aside to let her in. Inside was warm, lived in. Books, a throw blanket on the couch, golden lamps casting soft light. Everything said he lived alone. Emily slid off her coat. He helped hang it. They ended up too close, and her pulse raced. Tea? He asked, stepping back as if giving her space. Sure, she nodded. While he moved about the kitchen, Emily scanned the shelves. Her eyes froze on a photo frame. The two of them, younger, grinning in a park. She had nearly forgotten that picture existed, but he had kept it. When Ryan returned with mugs, he caught her staring. Yeah, I held on to it. Held on to maybe more than I should have. Her fingers brushed the frame. Sometimes the past holds us tighter than we realize. Or, sometimes, he murmured, stepping closer, it's there to remind us we still have a chance to start again. The air between them grew electric. He didn't touch her, didn't move another inch, but she felt the pull, a current sparking in the silence. And Emily knew, if she stepped back now, there would be no second chance. The silence pressed on them, almost unbearable. Emily stepped closer. Ryan did too. The distance vanished. Their kiss was tentative, like they were both afraid to break something fragile. But beneath that hesitation lay years of buried emotions, and every second of contact felt like fire. Emily's hands trembled. They pulled apart almost at once, both breathing heavily. Ryan smiled faintly. So much for not letting the night end here. Are you sure this is right? She asked softly. Are you? She had no answer. Her head listed 1,000 reasons why not. Her work, her obligations, her neatly ordered life. But her heart screamed only one word,
yes. They talked until dawn, sitting cross-legged on the floor, drinking tea, swapping stories, laughing, falling into long silences just to look at each other. Those hours erased years. Morning came like a harsh reminder. Emily's phone lit up with missed calls, texts, co-workers, her boss, friends, her world waiting for her. "I should go," she said, pulling on her coat. Ryan's eyes searched hers, worried. "We'll see each other again?" She smiled, trying to sound casual despite the flutter inside. "Of course." The next days passed in a haze. At work, Emily found herself staring at spreadsheets, but seeing only his face. Friends teased her about the smile she couldn't hide, but she brushed them off. They met nearly every night. Walks downtown, dinners in, old movies, conversations that stretched into early morning. Everything felt natural, inevitable. But the deeper their closeness grew, the more Emily sensed the cracks. Her life was a carefully balanced tower of deadlines, projects, expectations. Ryan's world, simpler, quieter, rooted in presence rather than plans. One evening in a small bar, fate caught up. "Oh, Emily!" A colleague from her office appeared, eyes wide. "And Ryan?" Emily froze. She hadn't expected to be spotted. Her coworker smiled brightly, but curiosity flickered behind her eyes. "Yeah," Emily forced to smile. "We've known each other a long time." Once the coworker left, the air turned awkward. "Sorry," Emily muttered. "For what?" Ryan asked. I don't want gossip. Work is already full of eyes on me."
He nodded silently, and that silence felt heavier than any reproach. Soon after, Emily received an offer for a business trip, a chance to prove herself on a major project, possibly the promotion she'd been working toward. But it landed right over the weekend they had planned to spend together out of town. "Go," Ryan said when she told him. "You mean that?" "Of course. It matters to you." He smiled, but it was forced, and Emily sensed the truth beneath. When she came back a week later, something had shifted. They still kissed, still laughed, but the warmth between them carried shadows. Ryan grew quiet, contemplative. Emily tried to reach him, but he deflected with jokes. One night, on his balcony, under the stars, she pressed him. "You're holding something back. I feel it." He didn't answer right away. Then, quietly, "Sometimes I think we're replaying the same story. You, chasing work, me, waiting, always second place." The words stung because they were true. "But it's different now," she protested. "I came back to you." "For how long, though?" His tone was soft, but it shook her. For the first time in years, Emily felt afraid history might repeat. That night, she lay awake long after, thoughts a tangled mess. Youth, goodbye, reunion. And she realized, unless she chose, unless she faced the truth, they would break again. Emily felt like she was balancing on the edge of a blade. On one side, Ryan, the warmth that made her alive again. On the other, her work, projects, people counting on her. She tried to merge the two, but it was like holding water in her hands. Ryan needed her presence, her time. Work devoured her. "You're late again," he said one night as she stepped in, exhausted. "Sorry, meeting ran long." "Meeting or someone else dumping everything on you again?"
She sighed, hanging her coat. "Ryan, I can't just quit. I'm not that college girl anymore." "I don't want you to quit," he said softly. "I just don't want to lose us." His words cut deep. She hugged him, but the unease stayed. A week later, her boss assigned her to lead a high-stakes project. Contracts, deadlines, the kind of opportunity that could launch her career. She tried to share the excitement with Ryan, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. "I'm happy for you," he said, voice flat. Emily longed for him to share her joy, but his world measured value differently, not in promotions, but in sunrises shared. "Let's go away," Ryan said one night. "The coast, maybe. 2 days, phones off, just us." Her heart ached at the picture. Waves, wind, freedom. But reality slapped her back. "Not now, deadline." He said nothing, just turned to the window. That was when she knew. The past was repeating. The breaking point came when she promised to meet him after work, but got trapped in yet another endless meeting. 11 at night, she finally texted, "Sorry, can't make it." His reply came minutes later. "I get it." But there was no understanding in those words, only disappointment. The next day, he called. "We need to talk," he said. They met at the same coffee shop where everything had begun, same soft music, same table, but the air was heavy. "I can't do this again," Ryan said quietly. "I can't be the pause between your meetings."
"That's not fair. You matter to me. Then why am I always second?" She had no answer, because deep down, he was right. "I won't relive what happened before," he continued. "Back then, I waited, hoped, lost. I can't do that twice." Tears burned her eyes. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to decide. Either we're in this, really in it, or we walk away before we break each other worse." It sounded like a verdict. That night, Emily sat by her window, the city glowing outside. People hurried past, each chasing something. And she asked herself the only question that mattered. What if tomorrow is already too late? For the first time in years, Emily powered off her phone. No buzzing, no emails, no calls. Just silence. She paced her apartment like a caged animal. Her mind tugged in 2 directions, her careful life and the man who had reignited her heart. "If I lose him again," she thought, "there won't be another chance." The next day she texted, "Can we meet?" His reply came instantly, "Same place." And again, that coffee shop, same golden light, same window seat, but now everything hung in the balance. Ryan sat waiting, tense. His eyes were steady, but guarded. "I've been thinking," Emily began. Her voice shook, but she pushed forward. "You're right. I've always chosen work first. But then I realized none of it matters if I come home to nothing." His expression softened. "I don't want to lose you again. Yes, I have ambition. Yes, I'll still work hard, but I won't put a second, not anymore." Ryan leaned closer. "You're sure?" "Yes," she whispered. "For the first time in years, yes." He reached for her hand, and she didn't hesitate. Things didn't magically fix overnight. They argued, they stumbled, they learned. But they built. Emily still had late nights sometimes, but she warned him, and he showed up to pick her up instead of sulking. They spent weekends discovering new cafes, biking, cooking, and most importantly, they talked, honestly. Then spring brought another test. Her company offered her a promotion in Boston, higher pay, bigger projects, the dream she had once chased. She stared at the email for hours. "Here we go again," she said to Ryan that evening. "Another choice." He didn't argue, just asked, "What do you want? Not your boss, not your resume, you." And for the first time, Emily answered honestly. She didn't want boardrooms or titles. She wanted mornings with him, laughter, fights, reconciliations. Him. "I want to stay. With you." And for the first time, she felt free. A month later, they did make it to the coast. Not as an escape, but as a promise. On the sand, with the waves roaring,
Emily leaned into his shoulder. "You know," she murmured, "I used to think love was a distraction, something that stole time. And now?" he asked. "Now I know it's the reason time matters at all." He kissed her hair, and she closed her eyes. Months passed. Life wasn't perfect. There were fights, tears, slammed doors, but there was also laughter, comfort, and choices made together. Emily sometimes thought back to that rainy platform in Philadelphia when missing a train had rewritten her story. And every time, she smiled. Because sometimes, the smallest accident changes everything. And love, it's not a movie ending, not a flawless picture. It's a choice you make every single day. And she chose him.